We are back on Morning Line. Our final segment this morning with Thomas Abbott, talking about the Smiles Direct warehouse shooting that happened on August 3rd, his involvement there, and the role he played. Metro Police say that really kept the gunman maybe from coming back in and doing more damage. I don't think there's any question of that. And, you know, Metro Police, Thomas, say that there is video that's not been released that's still in the TBI's investigation from inside. And I've talked to folks who have viewed it that said, yeah, they can see you picking up the gun. Not that there was ever any doubt, but there's video. I'd love to see that, how it plays out. But what they did release to law enforcement, and you saw the bulk of it in the story we played earlier, is just a short portion of it. I mean, you see him out there shooting, but he was out there for a while.
Man, I would say at least 10 minutes. Yeah. Because I was running through the warehouse.
It's a big building. It's a big building.
Yes. Yeah. Just trying to, you know, find gauze or whatever, you know, to help the security guards to, you know, cover their wound and everything. So it was a good while. Yeah. Absolutely.
As you think back to, and, you know, you now have lived it. Thinking back, knowing what you knew now, is there anything else that could have been done to prevent this? I'm thinking about with any type of mass shooting situation. I mean, you can start installing metal detectors. You can do searches, and maybe, and I'm guessing Smiles Direct, like a lot of businesses, maybe have upgraded to some degree. But if someone really wants to get into one of these places of employment where they work, is there much you can do to stop it?
There's not a whole lot that you can do, I don't think.
That's what's so scary. I mean, you just don't know. And
you really don't. If you cannot diffuse it, if you cannot talk them down, then that's...
Yeah, and there were no flags with this individual. As you said, you didn't know who he was.
Right.
No one else knew if he had made a bunch of complaints. We don't know internally if there was ever any threats made. Have you heard anything about that? Had threats been made?
No.
Or?
From what I heard about the young man, he was just a quiet guy, a nice guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So who knows where this came from. I wanted to ask you just about, you explained where they knocked on the door and realized, okay, the danger's over, you're shot. And so they're rushing all three of you, the two security guards and you, to the hospital, right? So at that point, they walk you out and say, look, you're injured, we've got to take you. So you go to the ambulance. I'm just curious how this plays out, because, you know, as the news media, we've covered shootings, and it gets to this point, but we don't, obviously, we're not allowed in, and then there's HIPAA laws. How does that play out with a gunshot victim in a case like this? What did they do with you? You hop in the ambulance and what? Just
hop in the ambulance and they kind of give you a quick examination just to make sure.
Paramedics looking at your shoulder.
Yeah. Paramedics looking at the shoulder and everything. Start an IV.
How are you feeling at this point? Are you in shock? Are you in a lot of pain in the shoulder? Adrenaline?
Adrenaline was just pumping, and you just really in shock. Like, I was just like, what just happened? Okay. You know, what just happened? You know, and that was me all the way to Vandy. Once we got to Vandy, then, which was, you know, I thought was awesome. You had about 8 to 10 doctors waiting at the door for you, for the victim.
Right.
And once you get in there, they are very hands-on.
They wheeled you right in.
They wheel you right in.
Take off your shirt and everything.
They cut everything off. They turn you over almost like 360 degrees, you know.
And they want to see if you're injured anywhere else?
Absolutely.
Now, are they talking to you at this point?
Absolutely. They asking me where my pain is, you know, do I, you know, what, you know, if I have other medical issues or anything.
Heart condition or something, yeah.
Yep.
And you're a healthy guy.
Yes.
And so at what point did they pretty much tell you, you know, yeah, you definitely have an injury here, but it's not life-threatening? I mean, you were worried maybe about how deep it went?
Right.
Or when did they tell you?
I was, when they looked at it, examined it, you know, then they looked at it and said, hey, you know, good, it's not life-threatening. If it had been an inch down or would have went all the way in, then we would have been having a different conversation.
Wow.
But thank God, you know,
Okay,
Yeah,
and
they told me I was really lucky.
Treated it, they bandaged you up, and at that point, were they wanting you to stay, or they said, look, you're good to go, or how do you feel? Because you checked out. The other two officers were more, the security guards, they were more seriously injured, and they stayed put for a few days, I think.
They bandaged me up, and I was still there for at least a couple hours. They kept me on the machines just to make sure everything was good before they let me go.
That's awesome. And while you were there again, you said the detectives near the end, while you were still, they came to talk to you?
They came and talked to me, and just asked me my side of the story, and and just let me know that the guy was no longer a threat. And so,
did they share any more information, or at that point they're just asking you all? Did you ask them anything at that point? Just, I mean,
I did not. I mean, they were just asking the questions, and I was.
Well, also, I would imagine at that point you knew that the two were injured and you were. What's amazing beyond that is no one, aside from the suspect who was shot and killed, no one else was hurt. Did you ask them about that, or did you have any inkling that, okay, you didn't know outside whether this guy had shot more people?
Right, I did not. They, in the ambulance, they said it was just 3 of us that was hurt.
What did you think of that then? I mean, that's just...
Well, I was like, I knew 2, than myself, and I was like, all right, nobody got hurt, nobody died, know. So, I did my job,
After going through something like this now, I guess, it's been, some time past. Has it changed you in any way, your outlook moving forward? I mean, you may still have some anxiety over this, certainly.
Oh, I do. I look at it in a totally different way. Kind of look at the world. I just going to Walmart.
Are you more like aware, like
aware of what's around me and who's doing what? Just the little clinking, the noise. Just irritates you. Not sleeping as good as I want, but I am getting some. But like I said before, just seeing the doctors and working that out.
Yeah, but I mean, part of it, and it had to be traumatic, but underneath it, knowing that no one else was seriously injured, died largely because of your actions. That should make you feel good. The sacrifice of what you're feeling now is awful. But you could say, it's for a good cause.
And and again, I was really sad to hear that the young man had deceased.
If he could have surrendered out there and dropped the weapon.
I wish he could have just surrendered and be through with it, know.
Right, because we still don't know, maybe gotten the help, since he didn't kill anyone. But I guess we'll never know what his motive was exactly. Let's take a quick call from Jimmy before we wrap it up. Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning. Hey, Nick, first off, thank you for having Thomas on. And I was out of town when the whole story unfolded, but I just wanted to say to Thomas, you really are a hero, man. You did what God called you to do at the moment, and that's what a hero is. So thank you very much for your service there, Thomas.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Jimmy, thank you for your call. I think most people who see this will think that. And you didn't go in that morning. It's just another day, right?
Just another day.
That's the thing, and I appreciate Jimmy's call. It's like, a hero. You never know who or where they're going to come from or how someone. Hopefully, none of us ever find ourselves in that same situation. And obviously, hopefully, you never will again either on that front. But I mean, moving forward, like you said, you may have some anxiety you're dealing with. You mentioned to me when we were doing the interview, they talked about PTSD, that type of thing that can happen when you go through a real traumatic experience.
Right.
But you're getting help for it, right?
Yes, I'm getting help for it.
You seem like a pretty well-adjusted guy. By the way, this is a guy who was a stunt double for Michael Jordan when he lived in Chicago. I learned some interesting things about the commercials there when he played, because you're from the Chicago area, by the way,
correct.
Right?
That is correct.
And it's just that you never played him in basketball, but you dunked for him, right?
We actually did play some games.
Oh, come on.
In between the commercials, we actually played full court.
Well, what was interesting that he told me that I think is fascinating is when they shot these commercials, because he's a player still active, and Michael Jordan's a really valuable commodity. He had to dunk in some of these commercials, I guess, right?
Yep, that is correct.
So what they did is they didn't want to risk him hurting his leg, twisting an ankle or something dunking. So when you saw these, I forget what the products were that this commercial was.
It was Ballpark Franks.
Okay, so when he's going up and dunking, you're seeing his upper body, but those are your legs.
That is correct.
That's awesome. So you're wearing the air. Well, that's pretty neat. So you were a stunt double for Michael Jordan. You said you did some for Shaquille O'Neal too?
Yes. Yeah, worked with Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
And it was some of the old Bulls players.
Right.
Scottie Pippen. Yeah.
Right. And again, you're from the Chicago area, and as you said, you had no formal training in security or police work. You're familiar with handling a gun, maybe doing some target shooting and things like that, but nothing more than that when you went into this.
That is.
Wow. Well, listen, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about this and sharing your story. Again, like I said, you didn't seek it out, but just as our callers said, I mean, you acted heroically. You're humble about it, right? You move on and you do well and take care of yourself. I really, really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story.
Nick, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll follow along with you, Thomas. Thank you for coming on. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up, programming note about tomorrow, and a very special remembrance of someone who was very special and close to this show for years. So we'll be back right after this.